Okay, let's get started. Hello, Claudette, and we'll just wait a few seconds here for other people to join in. But I did want to start, especially for those of you listening to the recording. I always start with taking a few breaths. I've the habit of doing that because I feel like it's a nice moment to really get centered and just feel into the energy of the group and to everybody listening in general. And yeah, so let's just do some deep breaths, and these are called lotus breaths. So for those of you new to this technique, it's a six-pointed breath. So you're going to imagine that you have a lotus with six petals. So there's one on the right, one on the left, one on the front, one in the back, and then there's two other petals coming out from the head and downwards as well. So you're going to imagine that it's like a lotus flower that is going to close the petals on the in breath, and the petals expand on the out breath, and the center of the lotus will be your center point, or your 0 point, as some people like to call it. You can also imagine that you're breathing in with your entire body if you wish to, or a specific chakra or energy center in your body. So, yeah, hi Hazel, welcome. So, we're just going to do a few breaths here. You came in right on time. We're going to do three of these breaths, and you can do as many as you can. So, just like we did last time, okay? So, you're going to close your eyes if you wish. If not, that's okay. You can do as you feel. We're going to do three of these breaths, okay? So, one, petals closed. Two, petals expand. Again, in breath, petals close. Out breath, petals expand. One more time. In breath, petals closed. Out breath, petals expand. Okay. So now for a quick energy check in. So here in Paris today, we've got really nice weather. It is 28 degrees today and very sunny. But later on, there's going to be thunderstorms, like later tonight at normally pretty soon they should be coming in. And then all week we've got rain. So yeah, it's going to change here in a bit. But definitely been sunny lately and pretty calm. Although in my immediate reality, there has been a lot going on emotionally, lots of changes, lots of letting go, lots of yeah, just feeling really the energies of what's going on with the cosmic weather internally, and as within, so without. So yes, and I know a lot of you have probably been feeling similar energies. So we're going to talk more about that here in a bit. We've got Claudette in the house, founder of SkyStrology, and then we're also going to be talking about um, the what's coming up here in terms of events, and we've got a special offering from Claudette here in the fortune cookie that's scrolling. So if you guys want to click on that, you'll be able to access Claudette's offering, which she will be explaining more of here in a bit. And then I've got a discount code for you guys with the services that I have on my website. So definitely check that out. Just it's if you want it's 30% off. You just have to type in the code dreams to get the discount. So yeah. And well, let's get started with the topic for today, which is my journey so far. I'll be talking not just about myself, but also about the people that have inspired me, and I because I think that could be useful to anybody that. Hello, Kanu. How are you? Because I think it can be also useful for people to help them connect with their soul path. And which, it's for me, it's still a work in progress. It's not like I've got it all figured out, but I do feel like the more I've connected with my inner knowing, the more I am attracting people and situations into my life that have helped me really align with what I feel like I'm here to do. So, yeah, just to share a little bit about my background. So, my name is Ixel, for those of you who don't know me, and I have a background in psychology and also in business administration. Hi, Mark. How are you? Welcome. So, and I was, since I started with psychology, I was really interested in dreams. And I read a lot of books about dreams and dream interpretation, like Sigmund Freud and that Carl Jung as well. I really liked the content of his theories, but I always felt like it was just way too out there. It's like, oh, in this society, it feels like whenever you're thinking about dreams, it's like, oh, why are you like dreaming all day or daydreaming? Even it's is seen as something, it has like a negative connotation. It's like you're not grounded, and it's like it for me, it was always like, well, that's something I really like, but it didn't seem like I could actually make something out of it, or it didn't feel like it was a good idea to pursue that. So I was always, maybe like many of you guys listening, it's you always want to make your parents happy or do something that you think will bring money in, right? So hi, Mick, how are you? And yeah, so I was always like thinking, well, what should I do in order to build something so that I can provide for my family and be happy? You're always trying to, like I said, trying to fit in, right? And 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 finally, I ended up in that's how I ended up in business, actually, because I was like, oh, this is probably the way to go if I want to build a future, right? So I stopped dreaming in a way. I was completely in a complete disconnect from my soul purpose and my gifts, because I do feel that everyone, and I'm getting chills as I say this, because every one of you came in here to this planet with specific gifts, with a unique blueprint, right? And so it's for me, it's really important to connect with those gifts that are just natural, that just come naturally. And when you're doing things that you feel you're not even really learning them, it's more like you feel like you're remembering them. You probably, all of you have probably, yeah, you have probably felt this before. It's like, it's almost like you already knew that since maybe a past life or something, and you just came here to remember how to do it again. So I do think that that's what everybody on the planet should be doing. But sadly, we've got most of the population running around doing jobs that they don't like, just because they're like, well, this is what's bringing in the money, right? And we don't trust that the universe will provide for us if we connect with that those gifts, that soul purpose. Because for the most part, it seems like things that are just too out there, or to everything that, for example, artists or people that do photography, all these people that can provide so much, with their energy and activate people with their work and their art or their singing and all that. It's like, sometimes they get lost in the path of like, well, this is what I think I should do, right? Because my parents think that this is the way I should go if I want to be successful. So yeah. And hi, Ra, how are you? I hope I said hi to everyone. Did I say hi to Samantha already? Hi, Sam. Nice to see you here. And so, yeah, basically, that's why I want to share my story, is because it feels like, for me, it feels like a lot of people can relate to this, the feeling like you're always also running against time, like, oh, I have to get this done by the age of 30, I have to have a kid by that age, if not, I'm running behind on schedule. And that is not true, right? I've said this before. Everything is always on time. You don't have to worry about getting things done at a specific time, because there is, for me, everything is in divine timing, really. And what else can I say? I mean, right now it's all of this has been leading to me meeting certain people in my journey, and the certain teachings and all this information that started coming in. uh, all of a sudden I felt really overwhelmed, and because there's so much information out there, right? And you really have to learn how to take everything with a grain of salt. And I've learned to not buy into a specific theory or a teaching or even a person, right? And giving them all your power away, saying, oh, this is the person that knows, they have it all figured out, because really nobody has anything figured out. Like, the more you know, the less you know. Like, so, or what's the saying? Like, the more you know, the more you find out that you actually don't know anything. So, but at least you're uncovering, truths. And there is also your truth, right? I like to, talk about the fact that there are different types of truths. It's just like there is an essence of a thing, right? And even that is just, it's very relative depending on what perspective you're looking at it from. Like an apple, right? It's like, okay, this apple, okay, for me it looks red, sure. And that's because certain things are the light that's reflecting on it, and the way our nervous system, or our visual system, sorry, works, we see it that way. And that is a truth. Another, a dog or an insect will see that apple a completely different color. And then you've also got the subjective truth, which is, well, I think an apple is super delicious, whereas somebody else might say, oh, that apple, no, I don't like apples, they're gross, So there's so many layers to the truths that we uncover. But as long as you're uncovering your truth and what works for you shouldn't be worrying about all the information and who's right, who's wrong. I learned to, like, just really discern and be like, what feels right for me in that moment. And who knows, it might change later on, but as long as it's serving me and it's uplifting me and making me grow, that's what I'm going with at the moment. And all the rest is just noise. Okay, so that's what we really have to learn how to do here, when we're on this journey of really wanting to grow spiritually. Yeah, it's like just getting rid of all that noise, right? There's so much noise out there. So yeah, and so finally I was like, well, I really got to stop giving my power away to relationships and to people that I think are going to be there for me. And and we still do, even lately I've been like, it's not easy, right, to depend on other people for our happiness. I'm just going to be, completely blunt. We do this, right? And same with information. It's like, oh, I thought that theory was, or those teachings were just the answer to everything. And no, I mean, you have to learn how to take, the information, like I said, with a grain of salt. Same with people. Sometimes they will be there, sometimes they won't. And that, not to, I guess for me, it's been about really learning that people can come and go, and there's nothing personal, right? You shouldn't take things personally when people are not in your life all of a sudden, because they have something else to focus on, and that's perfect, right? You should honor that and be grateful that that person is following their path, and that they're giving you the space for you to grow and learn and do other things, right? So it's been a lot of that lately, with the current energies, at least in my reality. So yeah. And I guess right now, what I want to do is bring Claudette up on stage, because I would like to talk about SkyStrology and how it has impacted my life. And it's just been really magical, and I do want to say, it's not like, oh, SkyStrology came in and now I figured everything out, and they're telling me what to do. Claudette has never told me what to do. It's literally just, she's confirming things that I had already thought about. And that's what's really magical about this. And I'm going to share a few clips of the session, the very first couple sessions I did with her. I think this was the second one. We met in October 9th was 2020, was my first session with Claudette, for Stardust DNA. That was the name. I just love the name that she gives to her services, Stardust DNA. And she did my SkyStrology chart. So then we had this other session where she told me more in depth about like what she thought, were the energies, and I was like, wow, that makes so much sense. And she just kept confirming things that for me I already knew internally. So you'll have people like Claudette come into your life. You'll have what we could call, I guess, teachers or masters that are just going to be coming in and helping you along your journey. So that's, to just say really briefly, a little bit about how Claudette has impacted my life and SkyStrology. So, but we're gonna hear from her in a bit. So let me just see, how can invite her up. All right, let me know, Claudette, if you got that. Normally, yes.
Oh, there I am.
Hi.
It worked.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, sorry. I okay. I had to take a screenshot. Hello, everybody.
Yes. Oh, I'm so happy that the group today is just perfect. I just love how every single time we do these events or recordings, the people who are meant to be there are there, and it's always just perfect. So yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, Sam. It's funny because Sam, I was like, I talked with her. I thought about her, and these are the things that, it's like so magical. Like how you get these synchronicities of like you get the ping that you have to talk to this person. I think she was like maybe hesitating a little bit about coming today or not. And I was like, oh, you have to come over, and we were talking, about what's happened lately, and it's just, we have these really strong connections that like I said, if you're really tuned in to your being, your own being, you will have this constant connection with your higher aspects that will be always telling you what to do and what feels right and what feels wrong. So anyway, so Claudette, founder of SkyStrology and amazing guide and teacher, and I like my second mom. Honestly, it's like yeah, yeah.
They call me Cosmic Mommy. That's good because I didn't have any daughters. Well, I just gained a daughter-in-law, so but we are
Yes.
all children of the universe, and that is was actually the intention, to move from a place of unconditional love. And even though we have this cliche, the new earth or the new light worker cliche, that separation is illusion, how can we actually practice that, right? That's
Mhm.
quite interesting when we are giving of ourselves or giving our gifts or finding our journey and sharing it, as Ixel shared this space with me to invite me in. And I shared my passion for the stars by sharing with her what I saw, which was in a supporting way, because I kind of go overboard with positive um, language, positive suggestions, things like that, because I feel there is an abundance and enough negativity in the world. So I am feeling that I need to bring a balance by maybe going to the other extreme, but that never hurt nobody. So
That's great because we do need people that are I guess inspiring us to really focus on bringing in the higher timelines, the more positive aspects, because where your what's it called, energy, no, where attention goes, energy flows, I think, right?
yes, yes,
Mhm.
yes.
So you can bring in whatever timeline, it's all existing. You can be focusing on the negative and feel all those emotions and let and buy into the fear. But it's important to maybe, yeah, take some time to recognize it whenever you're feeling that way, but always bring it back to that higher awareness. Is like what I like to say is like bring in the higher awareness to every emotion, because you can be feeling sad or scared, but if you bring in that higher awareness, you will be still vibrating at a higher frequency or oscillation, instead of being in those lower realms. So super great that Claudette is doing this, because she's definitely always super positive. Even when she has stuff going on in her life, she's always there for others, and she does her best to always be present. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. And thank
Yeah.
you all for clapping. I love that. It reminds me a little bit of Periscope. This interactivity is very inspiring when we're using these virtual spaces.
Yes. Wait, hold
Mm.
on. I wanted to send a clap too.
You can clap.
You can
Hi,
see that when
clap.
you're still up
Oh,
here. Yeah, you can send claps when you're up here too. It's
oh,
funny.
yeah.
Oops. I'm dropping stuff. Well, I want to share some clips from Claudette from our call, because this is super pertinent. Hold on, I hope you guys can hear everything okay. So first, this was the part where she's asking me, because she didn't know about my dreams or anything. I've always had really crazy dreams since I was little, but like I told you guys, I had this huge disconnect for a while, thinking, oh, dreams are just, that's not important. People don't care about that, and I should focus on making money, right? But then I got Claudette on the phone, and this is what she told me. So just play this part first. Hold on.
This is in 2020.
Yeah, that's okay. So this was October 29th, 2020. Okay. So she's saying this thing.
Pluto in the eighth house, and Neptune is here. So, do you have what is your dreaming like?
So then I went on to tell her, oh, my dreams are always crazy, and yeah, I feel like it's a different reality. And then she's like, she said this.
And you could just have a space where you put your dreams there and you could share them.
And then I was like, oh my God, I've been thinking about doing that. I want to do a podcast.
Well, hello.
And then I'm laughing. You can't hear me on the other end, but I'm like laughing, like, wow, I can't believe you said this.
Yes, yes.
And I was like, blah, 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 blah. I got super excited at that point. And then she said,
hello. Mm-hmm. And meet some maybe interesting dudes that are worth thinking about. Now stop.
So as I was telling her, oh, I have this, this dude in my life, and I'm so sad about it. And it's just like heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak. And she's like, hello, like, do the podcast, and maybe you'll meet some dudes that are worth thinking about.
You didn't say that.
You said that. Listen, I'm gonna replay it. I'm gonna replay that because it was so funny.
Interesting dudes that are worth thinking about. Now stop.
Did you hear that? It's like, I meet some interesting dudes that are worth thinking about. Just stop. And then I laughed.
I do give like motherly advice sometimes. I can't help myself.
Yeah, that was very, very pertinent though, because I did need to like bring that into my awareness, that I, like I said before, kept giving my power away to people that were not even ready to receive all that love that I wanted to give them, right? Because I was looking for people to give the love that I should be giving to myself. So that is super important. And Claudette was like, what are you doing?
He does romantic.
I know. And then she said, so now I'm gonna play the part where she was focusing. So this part is a little bit more like deeper into the sky and all the alignments that she was looking at while she was talking with me, and she felt like this was something very important. So this is just to give an example of the type of sessions you will get with Claudette if you get a call with her, and yeah, so they get really, really deep. And here we go. All right.
We kind of went through the houses a few times to see what are your gifts, where are the energies, right? And okay, we know that there was only Pluto by itself in the earth, and only Mercury by itself in the water, and that is like an invitation to say, okay, Pluto is here. It wants transformation. It wants change. Where is Pluto? What in the sky, in the chart? Okay, it's in the sixth house of routine, something you do every day, something you make a ritual of. Where what house is part of? The eighth house. What's in the eighth house? Neptune. Where's Neptune from? The 12th house, about dreams. What's in the 12th house? The North Node. What does North Node mean? Karma. What does karma mean? Action. Podcast. And that's how it goes through. And then we go with the Mercury, we got the water, but it's not a water thing. Mercury is about earth and air. She has plenty of air. She has plenty of ideas. We just have to ground it down. What do we use? Her voice, her Mercury, her communication to bring it down. And when we use the Ophukas, which is we know is part of her soul's purpose, the opposite side, because we know the key is in the first house, then we look at that's why the things aren't working with the relationship, because you need to be working on yourself. You got so
That's the part that cracked me up. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. Like, it's not working. That was amazing.
I have to say, so you guys get a context. My consultations, there are two parts. There's two parts. So the first part is kind of like a tutorial where I show you your sky. And then the second part is what I call the outland method. It's named after my mother because how when I talk about the elements and I bring it all together and I've introduced you to the energetics of your sky, it just seems that this cosmic mother, like this mother, just comes in and just goes blah 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 blah, bang. It's like that's it, and it's just like I don't even know like how it works, but it comes online every time, and people love it, and it helps, and it just touches. It's so powerful. It's just so powerful. So hi, Wendy. Hazel
Hi,
coming in.
Wendy.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. What a walk down memory lane.
Right. You didn't remember saying that, right?
I know. But it makes so much sense. And at the time, sky astrology is evolving, and sky astrology is unique in its understanding of the awakening that the the shift the consciousness is moving towards. So when we say that energy never dies and that the soul lives forever, in a way that the 12th house, if you would, in Western astrology is about the last stage of life and about meditation and isolation, all those things. And when I was going through a lot of the learning and developing what was special about sky astrology compared to true sidereal or Vedic or 13th sign, and I realized, it is the connection to what is actually happening at that time. And I always was going back with clients to the 12th house. And I was like, well, why am I starting at the end? And I realized, that's actually the beginning as well. And zero mathematically has always been a space holder. So zero became the space holder for the soul, and it's connected to dreams, dream time. That's what the Aborigines call the time in the womb. That's connected to isolation. It's connected to meditation. And it just started to make more and more sense. And also, then we made the connection through the Chinese refer to children's ages including the year in the womb. So Chinese clients would say, I have two ages. One is for the extra year in the womb. And that was really, a big part of shifting the methodology of sky astrology to include that. And also, it's helped so many people connect to that subconscious part of themselves and things that happened when we were just, in the womb infants before we had this language and the interactions as earthlings, because we're water beings in the womb. We're of a totally different nature and very receptive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, for the gifts that, were brought over for Ixel, and she has the Mercury with 0°, which is another very particular point that we're going to talk about, because we're talking later about the 0 degrees of today, and the amazing energetics that are connected to that. But yeah, that really helped to bring the importance of connecting to this intuition, this part that's before the earth life. But it is a part of our journey on this earthling.
Right. And I remember when you were telling me also about the energies of Cetus and how it's considered like the whale or the sea dragon. And I was like, wow, I keep seeing dragons like all the time in meditation, and I have a purple dragon. I told you about my purple dragon. And so all these things started coming in like like I said, synchronicity after synchronicity. I want to share one more, just a little piece. I think I have it here. Another thing that really surprised me was the stars, because Claudette is SkyStrology. It focuses a lot on the stars, right? It's like no other method or oh, I yeah, it started right. Hold on. So yeah, and I was like, oh, I really haven't been paying too much attention to the stars, and I started looking up more. And then one of the calls that we had, actually, it was the same one. I started by telling her this. I said this. Orion popped into my head. I'm like, yeah, that was in the sky astrology thing. And when the first thing I looked up when I looked up Orion was this triangle with some stars, and then I looked them up and they were in my sky astrology. I'm like, oh, so it's like these are the stars, like they were right there. Yeah. So when I started looking up more, I was like, they're right there for me to connect with them, and they have so much information because they're literally parts of us. We come from the stars. So I was like, wow, it just blew my mind every time I started engaging, more with sky astrology. The more I did it, the more I kept getting these synchronicities, and then so that was 2020. And then we kind of, I don't know what happened, we kind of drifted apart for a little bit. I was like very much into my own thing, and getting a lot of information coming in from different sources and stuff. So we kind of drifted apart, like maybe, let's say, I don't know, like half a year or so. I think
Just a
maybe.
little bit. I mean, we first, you're one of the founding members of our Sky Astrology calendar, because you're one of the first people who purchased it. Who was really disappointed it wasn't going to be a physical copy.
I wanted the
Not
print
yet, not yet. And that plays a part as well, because that brings in the calendar of what is actually happening in the sky and which heavenly bodies are at which beginning of which constellation. And just having a different calendar, and this calendar just is about where the heavenly bodies are, which stars the heavenly bodies are transiting.
Mhm.
That was a big part as well of your journey. And then and you were a big part of our Zoom calls, always really sharing, a lot of information and everything. But I thought Isha was really busy exploring things, which is great, because once she kind of knew, in a way, it was her, she knew that she wanted to start a podcast. But for
Mhm.
somebody who didn't know her to come and say, and this is before we really knew each other, I didn't have the community or anything, and say podcast dreams, that gives people confidence of the things that they know already. But it's just having that support from
Mhm.
somebody else and seeing it mathematically in the sky, and
Right.
understanding the mythology that goes, oh wow, I better do this. And so you just went on your pilgrimage, if you will, in a
Yes.
way, and expanded your knowledge. And at the same time that I went on and started the Sky Astrology Society, which is a school where I'm currently training people to be sky astrologers. And, this was this thing we needed to do, because it must have been that way, because when we were meant to meet again, what happened? It was a dream.
Oh yeah. Hmm. Yeah, and I had dreams before where you were in them, and I told you, oh, you were wearing a yellow dress, and you're like, oh, I love that color, and I didn't know that
Yeah.
at all. Like, so we're obviously super connected, even if we're not talking to each other. There's that special soul connection. There's always going to be little things like this happening, and then. So the dream where we connected later on, I can't. Can you remind me which one it was? Because I forget exactly which one, but was it right
I
before
didn't. What
Neptune?
was it with the first one? Was it? Well, I don't remember. We connected actually. Um, Before, I guess you had that dream where you said a focus changed my life, because we connected on that day. We were but you did have a dream about me, and you were connected. You told me, and then I said, let's jump on a podcast for my podcast, and then
Yeah.
later we realized it was a 0 degree moment.
Yes.
Remember?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And and then I had that dream where you said, yeah, oh, and this was the day Ofukas changed my life. And I was like, oh, that's all I could retain from that. And I don't know why you said that. But then a lot of these other information, a lot of information started coming in regarding Ofukis. And for those of you who don't know, this is a constellation that's not really taken into account in other methods for for astrology. So yeah, and it has such important energies, right?
Well, it's known as the 13th sign, but we don't call it signs in SkyStrology, but it's like a phrase now. And when NASA came out and said, oh, there's a 13th constellation, people kind of lost their hat. And it's kind of, we see it as a stepping stone, because in reality, it's not really the 13th, but what it is astronomically is a position in the sky very close to the black hole, to the galactic center, where energies are merging, and where Scorpio has lost its dominance as far as energetically being amongst the path of the ecliptic or sun's ecliptic, where we see the sun traveling on this plane, this line, if you will. And because Scorpio is more of a diagonally placed constellation, it the south of it is out of the path of the sun, and in this space are the feet of a focus. And so this is all kind of just an awareness. All these are just clues or names that we give energies as a collective to see, because this constellation was there all the time, and the sun was traveling, through it before. So this is a part of the shifting of the paradigms, the waking up, that we realize so many things we didn't know before. And to be honest, this is just the beginning.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So and we had, like I said, all these synchronicities that started happening during the collaboration we decided to do because of the we got the nudge, right? It's like, oh, we're having dreams, and now we did the podcast 0 degrees, and it's like one thing led to the other, and then all of
Mhm.
a sudden we ended up doing this collaboration, and that was amazing because so many things happened, and we got the Wizard of Oz references. Yeah, I don't want to say too much about it because I know there's still, we still got information coming in, but I'll let you
Oh, but
share what.
we agreed to do it. We have to honor, because we told Ra, like yesterday, Ra and Samantha, they were part of the workshop for Neptune's return. So to give a little context, Neptune
Yeah.
needs 166 years to go through all of the constellations that our sun travels through. And it is associated with the energies of the constellation of Pisces. And the last time it was there when Nikola Tesla was born, where a lot of people were waking up to the spirit world,
Hmm.
because, of course, this visual, non physical space, like a dream, those are true energies. So, on the 3rd of March, I did a prompt live. So, this is just an impromptu live, and I impromptu just started singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow And then the first person in the live on Instagram was from Australia. And I said, "Oh, how are you in Oz?" And I did this, I didn't have a plan. I didn't know at the same time, Ishel, what were you doing?
I was doing a meditation in which because we have also had all these ear ringing experience, and I think, and Hazel, she was part of it too. She had also the ear ringing thing, and I was like trying to get my ears to ring because I every time this happens and I don't really control it much, I feel like I pop into a different reality. I get like these portals that open up. I call them portals. Something. It's sometimes it's an image with sound. Sometimes it's just sound, and I was like trying to like, why can't I remember how to do this? And I was like going like this, and I was like squinting my eyes and like, trying to get it to work. So totally like, what Dorothy was
Dorothy
doing. Yeah, at the same
doing it
time.
in the thing.
Trying to get
Yeah,
yeah, trying to get to a different reality.
yeah. So then Ra was watching the live, and he did a beautiful reposting of the live. So it was only through the reposting of me seeing it that I was able to connect the dots, what actually happened about the connection between Oz and Somewhere Over the Rainbow and this and this. And then I told Ixel, and then we started seeing even more connections with our email, our text messaging, and with
Number.
Ra, and we could look at the dates. And Ra even found a filter that had the time and the dates, so we could see what was happening. And this was all during the time that Neptune was at 0 degrees, which is
Mhm.
very significant because today is actually Mr. Baum's birthday. And
Yeah,
we did not know this when we decided to do the podcast today.
it's not crazy. I know, right? Today's his birthday. So we're going to honor that, and yeah, it's just so
Yeah,
magical.
so he's born during the 0 degrees, and there's a lot of information we're still unpacking. But Ra has a story as well, connections to his family, to Mr. Baum, right?
Hmm.
And it's just amazing to see. And also during that time, I had like a double rainbow outside my window. Like this whole day, every day, every day we were talking about there's something reference coming up about somewhere over the rainbow, right?
Yeah, yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, yeah. And so what we look at in mathematically, that this point in space or time conundrum, conundrum is the sorry, I do that. Um, there's if you call it, like, I don't call them portals, but it is like a way in. I think portal is not doesn't do enough service really.
Maybe, yeah, that.
Um, yeah, yeah. It's like, what did you say? A way into alternate realities. But there's an energetic here that has a connection, and we who are born at that time have a connection to it. Like Ixel was born when Mercury was 0 degrees of Pisces. Nikola Tesla was born when, oh goodness, I think
Yep.
Mercury was 0 degree Pisces. Baum wasn't, but he had also a planet at 0 degrees of Pisces. And this point is accessible easily, perhaps by the people who also have it. But because we as a collective in this community, and I feel through the 0 degrees and through our observance of it, and in working with this in our consciousness, being attuned and curious, we are being able to connect to these alternate spaces where they're more online for us than, say, if you are not aware. It's all about consciousness, right?
Right. Yes, absolutely. And, because a lot of people will talk about, oh, activations. And I also, I'm all for that. I love doing techniques and DNA activations, but you've got to be aware of the energies, and the cosmic weather as well is very important to be able to receive these upgrades and whatnot. So, but when you're tuning into something, information that might be off or a little distorted, and that is literally coming from a program sometimes as well, then you're not really connecting to those energies. Actually, you're connecting to something, a fake construct, really. So that's why we also, I want to bring awareness to that, and how it has impacted my life, to really notice all the program, because I was following astrology. I was, oh, I'm a Pisces, I'm a this, I'm a that. That's all programming as well. It's like we need to, stop saying I am. And like I said before, we give our power away to information, to people, to an astrology sign, and then we start behaving as we think we should because of the sign, or the zodiac sign. So that's all part of the programming, and just eliminating that, or changing my perspective, I want to say, because it's all, the information is valuable, right? I got what I needed from that, but at the same time, it's, you switch your perspective, and it just changes your life. So there's that, the power, for me, in sky astrology. So yeah. And then we wanted to talk about, I don't know if you want to say anything else, before, about the Wizard of Oz. Did we say everything already, or did you want to add anything else? Because that's still going on. Like, it's still ongoing.
Well, yeah, wait, yeah, share something, because I was at the beginning. It was We found out that. Oh, wait a second, I need to figure this out because I lost the page. Anyway, we found out that it was so ongoing, and I didn't want, in a way, the observation to be colored by our acknowledgement of it, or for people who didn't know about it. So we had this closing call, Zoom call. And at the beginning, Ixel and I both made a playlist, like dream songs and stuff like that. And so I was like, let's do one for the closing of this workshop. And I was asking everybody about which song do they want to play. And there was somebody who came later to the workshop that I didn't know, but Ixel knew her. And she said, "Oh, my favorite song." What'd she say, Isha?
Over the rainbow, right? Yeah.
She said, "I love this song somewhere," and that's when the mic dropped.
Yeah. It's like, what? And yeah, it was just so incredible, all the connections of the connecting the dots that we've been doing. So just to say, how powerful observing these alignments and the 0 degrees, which is not really acknowledged in the same way by Western astrology, which impacts not just your personal journey, but also the collective journey, right? And all the people that are just are saying, or buying into the story of, there's, for example, the eclipse tomorrow, right? Or later tonight, sorry, later tonight, we also have that going on. So lots
Oh,
of
yeah.
people are thinking that the sun is aligned in Scorpio, right? I think they think that it's aligning in Scorpio, but it's not. It's going to be at,
No, the moon.
oh, the moon, sorry, yeah. So it's not, it's not going to be in Scorpio, and we've got the moon in Libra, right, at 17 degrees. I wrote it down because with,
Oh,
I'm
yeah, yeah. Share that coincidence as well. That was crazy.
that was crazy too, because yesterday, not yesterday, the day we decided to do this recording together, we're like, oh yeah, and there's this eclipse coming up, so that's a perfect time to do it. And then she's like, Claudia was like, wait a second, we're going to have the moon at 17 degrees of Libra and the sun at 1 degree of Taurus. Well, it turns out in my sky, my DS is at 17 degrees of Libra, and my AS is at 1 degree of Taurus. So it's like, what?
Oh, yeah. So tell that the AS and the DS are one of the most sensitive points that are calculated based on the time of your birth. And if Ishel was born 4 minutes later or 4 minutes earlier, it would not have that number, right?
Yeah.
It would not be 1 degree Taurus, and it would not be 17 degrees. So what this means is that the first stars of Taurus were rising on the eastern horizon from her, as seen from over the sky in her birth town. At the time she was born, these stars were rising in the sky 1 degree every 4 minutes.
There, you can see
So
we're not
it's
lying
so
here.
impactful. So yeah, we thought, oh my, yeah, like coincidence. It's no such thing as coincidence. These are cosmic alignments that are coming online. That is really amazing to be a part of and to be conscious about.
Yeah. And she was the one who suggested, oh, why don't, it'd be good to do something like your journey so far, kind of like to introduce yourself and talk about what you've been doing. And I'm not the kind of person who likes to talk about myself. So I was like really hesitant, but I'm like, you know what? Let's do that because it can inspire other people and maybe help them along in their path. But then then the fact that this coincidence happens, like, okay, that means that yes, it's very aligned to do that now. And yeah, so we've got to stop like being afraid to seem like we're being selfish or that we're just talking about ourselves. It's like there is that part of us that wants to, yes, be acknowledged and all. And there are of course aligned ways to do that because for me it's been like, okay, I've always like wanted that attention and all that. This is for me, it's you could call it a golden shadow aspect, which is it's like an undeveloped potential. But when we're looking for that attention in very immature ways, we tend to do things that are maybe not at all aligned with our soul path. And that can come off as like, oh, people are not necessarily going to take that, I guess, in the right way. So, but there is definitely a moment and a time to share your journey, to talk about yourself, because it will impact other people positively. So I was like, okay, you know what? Yeah, let me do it. Although I still feel like, it's like, oh, I just don't want to come up here and talk about myself.
Yeah, but
um,
the thing is, what we have, what I think is important to note is that we've all have programs running,
yeah.
and we're in the middle of the metamorphosis of the shift. And a lot of times, when you look, we've been taught to do this or learn that and graduate here and get this job and get that. And it might have not have anything to do with actually why your soul chose to come and be here at this monumental time
Hmm.
where there is this monumental shift. And so when we're in this point here now, for people to see other realities actually working out for people's soul, for them to find their dharma, to find abundance in their gifts. We all have gifts, like Ixel said at the beginning. And when you are, sharing your gift, which is so beautiful, because the ascendant is why the soul would come back at this time to begin a soul's journey, to share their gifts, what they can do. And right across from it is the DS, is the descending point. And this is the in seventh experience, also known as the seventh house. It is about partnerships. And so we always say, Ixel with her dream analysis and me with the SkyStrology, we could not do that without you. You are our partners when we come in contact and we share our what we have to share, why we came here to do what we're doing. And everyone has this gift. And I think one of the falsities of the paradigm is the competition aspect
Hmm.
program that is running rampant in so many Western societies. And so that's why the Western astrology has that language about these things that doesn't really speak to the soul.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of times when we do the consultation, we're speaking to your soul that has this knowledge, and the soul remembers. It's quite, I mean, I'm even shocked by it sometimes. I'm just so happy to be able to do this. And it took me all my life. I'm 58, I think, or 57. And I was a hat designer and I was doing like all these things, I was doing a program, and,
Mhm.
and, thank goodness, I found why I came back. But I think the journey is also important, where we've been and what we're doing now, and to be conscious of the connections and, what got us to where we are. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just something came through right now that I feel. Oh,
Oh,
thank you.
thank you.
And something came through that I feel like needs to be said for someone either here in the audience, or maybe someone listening to the recording, is that, and I've experienced it myself as well, but it just came in like super strong right now, this feeling of like we've got to stop being afraid of being our true selves because of what other people might think, or of the groups that we're in. And if a certain person, you want to keep them in your life, and we keep making these concessions as to, if something feels doesn't feel right, do what feels right, basically. Doesn't matter if that person will stop talking to you, or if you feel like you don't belong in a certain group anymore. That's totally okay. That just means you're transforming, and that's a really good thing, right? So if you keep making concessions and making exceptions and trying to accommodate people, or you're always stepping on eggshells trying to, not to poke people, and make them feel bad, you're not going to get it. You're going to feel stuck at some point, because you're always trying to, like I said, make people feel good. It's about you. And it's, I know this can sound selfish, and even saying it right now, that I have a little bit still of an issue in that program. It's like it's about you, and about you feeling good, and the people that are around you, should be people that are uplifting you, not that are trying to bring you down. And secretly, some people might be either jealous of what you're doing, or they have their own issues, and they have to deal with that before they can be part of your journey. Or maybe they're not going to be part of your journey, but that's okay as well. And that's really difficult, especially for us people that are very there are empaths. We feel when something is off, or when the person doesn't feel right, and we want to go and talk to them or say something so that they'll still be there. But it's not about that anymore. It's about your journey. And so this is why I'm like, okay, this is definitely the time to focus on my journey. And the people that are meant to be in your life will always be there. So, or they'll come back around. I always say this in my podcast as well. It's like, if someone is really meant to be there, they will find a way to stay in your life, or the universe will give you the opportunity to come back around, even if you drift apart for a little bit. So yeah, we got all these abandonment issues going on, right? It's like, no, we gotta stop that. We gotta stop doing that. So that was the message. Yeah, yeah. So thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, mm, yeah. It's we feel a lot, right? We when we connect with these energies too. It's like you feel it all, and it can be overwhelming sometimes. And hi, Ray, how are you? So yeah, and but it's great, to be able to share this with you guys today. And I'm so grateful for those of you that have been in my journey, and even those who are not here today. I'm still very grateful, because everyone has played such an important role. Regardless of what they did or did not do, there's always a lesson everywhere in every relationship. So yeah, I don't know why, like, I got super like into this relationship dynamic right now. It's like yeah, that needed to be said. And so I'm really grateful with Claudette, because she's been there listening to my rants, and like talking with me whenever I feel down, or because we all have these difficult moments, right? But it's really nice to know that we can, share feelings, and be there for each other. And even if we're not really talking, we always have this strong connection, regardless. So yeah, thank you
Well, you
again.
can have to share a little bit that, we we also see that it's part of the divine plan, because we have both have 14 degrees of a focus.
Yeah.
And that just seems to be clear more and more how much our lives are intertwined. Even we
Mhm.
were, like having, because, we have this space where we get to know people online, but we've never met in person. We've just
That's
met
true.
online. And, what's a good asset is to know truly mathematically whose energetics at the time of their birth are actually connected to yours. And that has, helped us, given us, a lot of times giving individuals, but also giving relationships confidence, even in challenging times. Even we had to have a discussion, about things, and we were both so happy we did. And, the main thing is communication and learning also new ways of communicating. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
also changing, and the words we use. And some people don't always um or have, because of the conditioning, their experience, they feel challenged to speak their minds because they weren't supported. Because 50 years ago, you were, as a child, you were supposed to be quiet. And maybe 20 years ago, if you kept asking the word why, people would just cut, cause I said so. Where now parents are more conscious, they might answer why all day. So, we are changing, and we can be, appreciative of the journey, but also mindful that not everybody has a different journey. And I'm just grateful for the journey that I have with Ixel, because it's showing me true magic in this life through the support of the mathematics that we can see, that we can also not see on a piece of paper, but we can track in the sky and see in our real lives that are bigger than us, right? Like the things that happen, it didn't happen because we did it. It happened because it was aligned with the universe. And because we were conscious, we caught it. Because if
Mhm.
you're not conscious, it's not as easy to catch, to tune into, is it?
Exactly. So, just to for those of you who weren't here for the explanation of the difference between when you're focusing on astrology versus sky astrology, that's the difference right there. You're not aligned with what's actually happening. You're aligning with a program. It's that's sadly what it is. So yes, it's life changing when you actually look up at the sky and check for yourself what is actually going on. Yeah, so super powerful. And yeah, I don't know if anybody has any questions. Feel free to say, if you want to write in the chat, guys, in the react section, if you have questions, or if somebody wants to come up and say a few words, please do. Otherwise, we're gonna wrap it up.
Okay, the dysdys.org is for Discover Your Star, Discover Yourself. And it's just a free download where you can see where the sun was in 2022 through the months. Because it changes us a little bit every year, but you can start with that. So if you follow astrology and you think that they told you, you've been reading horoscopes for the newspaper, that you're Gemini, it will tell you about where the sun actually was on your birth date. Okay, so that you can just be curious about, oh, actually that's a little bit different than what I thought. And then you're in contact with me, and I do free discovery calls sometimes, where I go a little bit more into depth about your sky at the time of your birth. So the whole thing is really for you to discover your stars, your sky astrology, to discover that special part of yourself, so that you are supporting yourself in this metamorphosis, in this transition, and you're working with the energetics that you yourself can relate to. Yeah, even it's like discover stargazing, right? Like when you started looking at the stars, you would come back and go, Capella, talking to twinkling, and this was happening.
Yeah, I know. And then you know what? I did not know Capella was in my sky chart either. Like I decided
Oh yeah,
to, yeah, I just went out and started looking, and because I have such a, I have such a bad memory retaining stars and degrees and all that, because I was very new to all this information, even though I knew about astrology before. But when I started looking at SkyStrology, there for me it's like it was all very new, and then I was like, oh, what is that star? So I started checking with an app, right? Because we have these apps that you can download for free and see what is actually happening astronomically. You don't need to like do a lot of like fancy calculations or anything necessarily. Leave that job to Claudette. She can do that for you. Does that for you. But just simply look up, and I was like, what is that? It was shining super bright. And then I remember having this like meditation where I literally felt like it was like my third eye was pulsing. It was like going like beep 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 beep, and I was downloading a bunch of information. I was like, what is going on? I even started freaking out a little bit, and then like I checked, and it was one of my stars, and I was like, wow. Yes, that makes a lot of sense. It's one of the stars that has always been there since I was a baby, right?
yeah.
So
Mathematically aligned. That's the kind
yeah,
of crazy thing about it. And now, yeah, it's lovely to see that. And everybody has a story. And a lot of times when I'll go, oh, well, these are your stars, because I have my own kind of method of which ones I pick. And depending on, because we all have stars, we're all from the stars. But
yeah,
the tighter the connection, the more able you're to make a connection with them and to see them like they see you, and to bring that online in your life. And yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Hi,
Mhm.
Bunny. How are you? Mhm. And yeah, so this is like I said, it's been a really magical journey. So I'm hoping that everybody listening to this, and even if you're listening to the recording, that it'll spark something in you. That's my objective. It's not just to come and like talk about myself, like I said, but to spark something in you, and explore if you're curious about
Show your
what's going on.
stars.
Yeah, the stars. And so definitely. And I don't know what else to add. Did you want to say anything else,
Yeah,
Cloudhead?
we need you. We need all of you. There's a reason why all of us are here at this time.
That's why you're
And
all here right
yeah, to wake up. That's why, I say I do the discovery calls, just my contribution to give back, to say, hey, you're not this or that. At the time of your birth, that magical moment that you left the womb, where you were this magical expression of love that grew into this perfect being in less than 10 months. And you lived as this water being in the womb, and then you left that womb, which is so interesting because this is how simple and programmed we are. It's always talked about the mother's waters breaking, but it's actually your water. It's the environment that you've had the whole time that is lost when that water breaks. And this is the beginning of your journey on earth. And this is connected to the most sensitive astronomical position in the sky of the stars that you still see at night.
now.
4 minutes it takes for 1 degree to go. And this is what's so magical about connecting the stars to our actual physical bodies and birth, our emergence as earthlings at that moment. Yeah,
Yeah,
and sadly, that you don't get the energetics when you follow Western, when they say, because those stars that they say in Western were not on the horizon at the time of your birth, unfortunately. That's
exactly.
just how it is. It's outdated.
Yeah, and you can choose to connect with those energies. That's everybody has free will. We connect to whatever energies we feel like. But then it's like we were saying, you're not connecting to what's actually happening in the now moment, which is the only moment you can create from, right? So
Hello.
that's why it's super powerful. You can connect to, past and future. Well, here linearly we're talking about it this way because time is an illusion. But anyway, that's a whole other topic. But you can connect to what stars were aligning another day or in maybe a future time. But it's not what's happening in the now, in that 0 point, in that center point. So that's why this is super powerful. And yeah, yeah, super important to say that. Thank you. Thank you, Hazel. You guys know how powerful this is. Several of you have already experienced how it can be, when you're aligned with your soul path. And yeah, so hi, Deborah. Oh, she jumped in like right when we're about to. Thank you, Bunny. Yeah, we were about to close this off, but let me know if you guys have questions, though, because I definitely want to give space for that. If there's any questions, please hop on stage to.
If
Uh,
anybody wants to talk, you said, right?
yeah, please feel
Hi,
free.
Frankie.
On.
I think I
Hi,
invited.
Frankie. Bye, Frankie. Just left.
Hi, Frankie. Bye.
Let me just check my notes and see if I wanted to share one more thing, or if anything wants to come through for people listening.
How
Because
do you know if is people raising their hands?
oh, wait a second. There's a message from Bunny. You invited everyone. Well, it started at 6. And we're going over time, but that's okay. Like I just, I wanted, yeah, we're flowing, so it's like this is perfect. And I'm glad you guys came in because I was wondering where you were. I was like, where are these guys? I've been wanting to, hear from you guys and your experiences in your life journey. So yeah, I'll be sharing more. Like this today was Claudette. I'll be doing more interviews like this one, and because I love, the sharing of experiences really is what's important here. Because like I said, we're so connected, and you guys are here for a reason. So let me see if there's anything else. Well, the ear ringing thing that we have, you've been getting ear ringing a lot lately too, right? Like
Yeah, off the chart. Mm-hmm.
yeah. Yeah. So there's like, tune in, guys, like meditation. And I know, like, yeah, Deborah, she meditates, and I've been meaning, I was meaning to tell you, I was studying mindfulness, and I know it's different, I know it derives from the Buddhist tradition, and maybe it's completely switched, like from what it used to be before. But I like the fact, that the ideas, I guess, behind Buddhism, and how it evolved into something completely different, which is now mindfulness, by John Kabat-Zinn, I think is his name. But yeah, and so I was like looking a lot into mindfulness for my PhD, because I was doing a PhD in psychology just recently. You have a show today at 5, and we're preparing, but you're listening to the replay. Oh, thank you. Okay, yeah. But so anyway, meditation. I know how powerful it is, and that's one way, to start connecting with your soul path. Because that's when I started meeting people like Claudette in my life. Is when I started practicing meditation every single day. I would do it sometimes 3 times a day. I was literally meditating all day sometimes. And then, you look within and you wait and see what's going to come up in your immediate reality. You'll attract things to you when you're looking within. Don't go out and chase things first. Look within before, and then you'll get opportunities to interact and meet amazing people like you guys here, like Claudette. It just warms my heart. I just feel so happy right now. So thank you guys for joining
Me
today.
too.
Yeah,
Me
thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Hazel. Oh, I love the hearts.
Yeah, thanks, Samantha, who's in the workshop, the Dream Workshop, and Raw, who are in the Dream Workshop as well. Lovely to
Yeah,
meet you. If I don't get to know you, feel free to, check out where the sun was shining at the time of your birth. And yeah, would love to see you.
yeah,
As
yeah.
many people we can help shift, because it's a really potent time we're in. And yeah.
Yeah. Lots of stuff is coming online, guys. It's gonna get really crazy, so get ready. Yeah, definitely. Well, so yeah, definitely check out the link, guys. And I'll be seeing you again next week. I'm gonna come up with another topic for next week. And yeah, so that's all I've got for now. Claudette, let me know if you have anything else to add.
Oh, I do. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being such a share of SkyStrology, actually from day one. And she's using her 0 degree Mercury of communication, her voice, to help change people's lives, because, a lot of times, she started sharing right away her story with SkyStrology almost for 2 years now, and then that causes a ripple effect, and then other people have that experience and it changes their life. And it's just been, for me to be on the receiving end of people sharing a concept that I was really on my own with and was not confident about until I did extensive research, that brought me clearly to a point that I could believe that what I was doing was valid. And that's why my icon, my picture, my profile has me and another girl, because I was able to mathematically confirm my past life. And it
Oh,
was
that's her.
for 30 years. Yeah, that's her. It was for 30 years a coincidence. It was a 30 years coincidence that we lived in the same street in Berlin. It was a coincidence that my German is really fluid, even though I only learned for 1 month. It was coincidence that we, that her birthday is the same day I left America and the same day that I left Berlin for London. These were all coincidences in my life that I eventually was able to prove for myself astronomically. And then the clincher was, and this is like kind of pulling it together and should be said here, the clincher was the dream. Because when I went to ask people who work with reincarnation, like, what do I do? I've proven this thing. I can see it mathematically, astronomically. And they go, yeah, yeah, yeah. We don't believe in all this astrology. I said, it's not astrology, it's astronomy. And they said, but do you have a dream? And I said, no, I don't have a dream. I don't need a dream. I've got the math. And and
Right.
then it was through the universe must have made it was just happened. I was able to meet a historian who knew about this person's life. And I went to a keynote speech of hers, and she was talking about a big secret in this person's life. Her name's Charlotte Solomon. And she shared that Charlotte Solomon had been a victim of uh, incest in her family for many, many years. And that's when I started to cry, and my worst dream ever came back in my awareness. And it was when I was 6 years old that I was afraid to go to the loo, because I said a monster was there and he was going to pull me into the bathtub. And the seat to the loo was right next to the bath. And I was like 6, and I was like, well, I'm not getting up. And I got into big trouble because I soiled the bed. And then there was like this day where my parents were trying to figure out, why were you afraid? Why were you afraid? And then I ended up in the hospital because they thought it was an instance of me being violated by an uncle at the time. So the relationship where Charlotte died in 1940, to what I had in 1970s when I was 6, that the dream came after the mathematics. and the awareness at that moment that flipped me out and made me realize how powerful the memories of the soul is,
Yeah.
and how it's still part and not just me. And then I was able to do it to two other people who had dreams on the
Mm,
days of those dreams. So there is a very strong connection of dreams and the soul and the memories. And I can't say how it works, but I have proof that there is a connection. And it just blows my mind, to be honest. And that's why I honor Charlotte Solomon, who even um, on her birthday last year is when the sun went back. I mean, where Neptune went back at 0 degrees for 166 years. And today we honor Mr. Baum, the creator of the Wizard of Oz story, which has aspects of, Buddhism. You talk about meditation, and the whole
mm,
concept of Wizard of Oz goes deeper than just the story of Wizard of Oz. It has real symbolism behind it, and that our group were tapping into that and witnessing it as a collective together is for me still mind blowing. But this is for me what life is about, to have these amazing experiences. So thank you, Ixel, for being the messenger. I call her the messenger of dreams because Mercury is the messenger, and she has a 0 degrees in Pisces, and Pisces is the place of dreams. It's the womb space. It's where we're water beings, where we're fish. And yeah, it's magical. Thank you so much for holding that space and coming into your journey and sharing it with so many people.
Oh, thank you. I really have no words right now. It's just, yeah, feeling
I
all
talk
the
a lot.
emotions.
But yeah, that just flowed because dreams.
Yeah,
What can
so
we say?
powerful. Yeah,
Okay,
and
there's
well,
so
right
many
now,
parts. Thank you guys.
thank you guys, and thank you Sam, thank you Hazel, and Frankie said
Thank you,
he
Thank you,
needed
Deborah.
to be here before, but he was late as well. Thank you guys. I'm gonna catch your. I hope to catch your guys' shows. It's difficult with the time zones, but every time I can be there, I'll be there. So anyway, I'll see you guys again next week. And in the meantime, try to remember your dreams, write them down, and set intentions before bed to remember everything because there's a lot of important messages for you guys in there. Uh,
Yeah,
Bisou.
and all the best for this lunar eclipse. I always look at the sun during the lunar eclipse. If you can catch it and rising next morning, because we're gonna have it rising, but you catch it rising,
Say
you
that again.
know.
We again
We
have raising.
if sorry, it's
What is it?
rising here for us. The sun will be rising at this moon eclipse because
Oh
right,
yeah,
but for some people they'll see the moon and they won't see the sun. But we don't really know what's going on happening. We know there's the sun shine, right? And this lunar eclipse means that it's being eclipsed by supposedly the earth, but think energetically, it's about us. And so these opposition, these full earth feelings, I call them, instead of moon, it's holding that space for our intuition, holding our space for our energetics and not giving it away to the lunatic or the luna idea that is separate from us,
yeah.
right? So yeah, enjoy, because this is a very unique alignment that is aligned with the heavenly body of Venus, because Taurus and Libra are connected to Venus, and Venus has been playing a very big part this year. And it has always been about unconditional love, always been about balance, always back to Egypt been about Matt and bringing balance and weighing things and being fair. So yeah, I wish you all unconditional love for this moment when the sun and the moon are in opposition. and the two constellations are with stars that are not in opposition but
Right.
are in alignment. Yeah.
So just to say for those who just got here, because this is important, the moon is. Wait, I'm look at my notes. The
It's on
moon.
your ascendant. You need to know these numbers.
I know it's okay. The moon, the moon is at 17 degrees of Libra. Will be at 17 degrees of Libra, and the sun at 1 degree of Taurus. So it's not like Western astrology is telling us. And so yeah, and those are the most sensitive parts of my sky are those the same, like DS and AS. Like it's crazy. So anyway, thank you so much, Claudette, and thank you guys
Oh,
again.
thank
Been ending
you.
for like half an hour, but now it's ending for real.
We talk every day now.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll see you guys again
Okay,
next.
bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Created live on Fireside.